Hi everybody, my name is Ryan Amin. I'm in charge of Studies and Strategic PMO Department. Today, I'll present you our candidacy for the PMO Global Awards representing SCR Morocco, Société Centrale de Réassurance. Before starting, developing and going deeper into the matter, I'd like to share with you a quotation by Winston Churchill. The quotation goes, "Those who plan do better than those who do not plan, even though they rarely stick to their plan." The idea here is to highlight how important scheduling is for any project. Being aware of this importance, there are two key stakeholders in charge of it within any organization, namely project manager and project management officer. I'd like to give a brief outline of my presentation. Here is the agenda. The presentation comes into 6 main sections as recommended: PMO Overview, PMO Background or Historic, PMO Structure, PMO Objectives, and ending up with PMO Results and Next Steps. Let's start with the PMO Overview. First, I'd like to present SCR company. Société Centrale de Réassurance was founded in March 1960, and it was launched by an agreement between the state and Caisse de dépôt et de gestion, CDG, which is the largest financial group in Morocco. We have been developing business in over 50 countries, and we enjoy a very good rating granted by Standard & Poor's, BBB-, and B++ granted by IM Best, and a local rating for the domestic reinsurance market of 3A given by Fitch Rating. We have always played a key role in the Moroccan insurance market. For all insurance companies, we are a value creation in terms of technical expertise, and we are a reinsurance referent in the region. In addition to that, we manage regional pools, among which Fair Aviation Pool and African Center for Catastrophe Risks. Our business model is positioned on 3 zones: Moroccan market, the African market, and the Middle East, Turkey, and some new markets based mainly in Asia. For the Moroccan market, we are mastering technical balances and the ability to safeguard interest of the national insurance sector. To give you an idea, more than 350 million US dollars of claims were paid by SCR to Moroccan insurers in the last 4 years. We also give a significant capacity for all the stakeholders in insurance market, and we show an attitude of a risk-taking. Regarding the African market, we have been present in several profitable markets in spite of being protected by legal dispositions or regulatory requirements. Our expansion aims at supporting insurance in the whole African region and playing a key role by offering capacities through contact offices. By the way, we have 3 contact offices. One is based in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. It deals with business developed in West Africa. Another one, based in Kigali, Rwanda. It deals with business developed in East Africa. And the third one based in Cairo, Egypt, to develop business in North Africa. We have been developing business in Turkey, Middle East, and some new markets in Asia. SCR in this market enjoys an historic and a significant presence with an important income. We also enjoy a good relationship with local insurance and reinsurance. I'd like to mention that we have implemented a strategic approach of underwriting business based on profitability of affairs. We have developed recently a memorandum of understanding with some regional reinsurers in order to use their rating to underwrite business in markets that needs a higher rating. To illustrate our financial strength, here are some key indicators for 2018. The figures are represented in millions. For the written premium, we have reached a level of 210 million US dollar. For the equity, the level was similar. It was about 250 million US dollar. For the technical result, net of retrocession, it was around 60 million US dollar. For the dedicated gross investment, results were about 1,140 US dollar. For the fiscal year net earnings, it was about 30 million US dollar, and for the total balance, it was about 1,550 US dollar. Now, let's move on to the organizational attachment of the PMO department. It's important to shed light that the Studies and Strategic PMO department is an important structure which is highly solicited by the CHIU and disposes of a global vision of the various projects involving all entities of SCR. The department is directly annexed to Support and Strategic PMO business unit, which is directly annexed to the CHIU. The department counts one resource and another in progress, in addition to the head of the department. Moving on, I'd like to emphasize the PMO historic or PMO background. Here are some key dates and challenges that SCR has been facing recently, which have given birth to the PMO. In 2005, there was a signature of trade-free agreements between Morocco and USA. The immediate consequence was the loss of a main and important regulatory advantage, which was the mandatory cession. This loss has lasted for about 8 years, from 2006 to 2014. Due to that, SCR had to face a big challenge of changing its business model and to launch a new adapted conjunction strategic transformation plan called Strong One. By launching this first strategic plan, there was for the first time the implementation of the strategic PMO as a role played by the lead or the head of the strategic business unit. In 2014, SCR has signed a negotiated gentleman agreement with the main insurance companies, in parallel with the start of the implementation of a new strategic transformation plan named Strong 2. So there was a shift of the strategic PMO from a role that was played by the strategic manager of the business unit to an independent and autonomous structure as a department. Here I would like to mention that by this shift, a key role has been made by the strategic PMO, and it had a considerable participation in all strategic topics securing the future of SCR, and also in implementing and setting up best practices of project management. Let's have a detailed look to understand well the timeline of SCR's PMO creation. Here is the first step of launching the PMO. Initially, SCR business model was protected by a favorite regulatory framework which implements a mandatory cession for all insurance Moroccan companies. For SCR, in a specific line of business, for about 10% of the total premium. In fact, insurance companies had the obligation to reinsure about 10% of the total premium developed in some specific branches to SCR. But once the free trade agreement was signed between Morocco and the United States in 2005, the Moroccan insurance regulator had removed this mechanism of mandatory cession. Consequently, SCR was heavily impacted by such a measure and lost the aforesaid advantage, which make up an important share of our annual results. So, due to those changes that were speeded up by the regulator, it has become mandatory to adapt the business model and launching a new strategic transformation plan. During this period, the PMO responsibility has been assigned to a person to stimulate further reflection on ECR future prior to effective involvement in reporting on the implementation progress of the strategic PMO transformation plan. The second step of the creation and the implementation of the PMO. After changing the ECR business model due to the aforesaid regulatory changes, ECR set up new challenges for growing internal competencies with a focus on the domestic market and ensuring a progressive development at national and international level. This new ambition, combined two challenges, was implemented and translated in the Strategic Transformation Plan Strong 2, which was launched in 2016. What mattered most for the PMO was the creation of an independent structure as a department that was involved in all steps of the strategic reflection on a new challenging strategic transformation plan, prior to effective involvement in reporting on the implementation progress, which is the classical role of the PMO. After securing the implementation of the new strategic transformation plan, Strong 2, the PMO was solicited by the top management to ensure during 2019 the transition to running strategic projects. As a future perspective, the position of the PMO now in ECR as a structure gaining more importance, and what was expected to run on mid-term basis took a larger spectrum of responsibility to cover from scratch the implementation of new strategic plan, which is due to be launched in 2020. Its main aim is to position ECR on the international development level and enable it to play a leader position in the regional scale in terms of quality of services, reinsurance expertise, etc. To sum up, PMO is a strategic independent department. Regulatory changes had impacted ECR business model and led to the creation of the PMO. What started as a role has gained ground, and today it's an independent structure. Today, the PMO is getting larger and getting involved in the strategic matters of the future of ECR. Now, let's move to the PMO structure. PMO provides backup to different business units and to the CHIU. The structure is split into two principal parts. The first one is linked with strategic studies, and the second one concerns strategic reporting. Let's detail more missions of the strategic studies. The PMO play a key role on conducting strategic studies on behalf of the CHIU. It can also support ECR business units in their studies, defining the target orientations, the opportunity and the practicality, drawing up appropriate action plans and building business plans. It equally participates in future strategic thinking of ECR and supervise strategic outsourced studies on behalf of general manager. Let's move to the second part, which is strategic reporting, common for PMO structure to do. PMO department provides the executive management with a shaped vision of the activities of the strategic project of ECR. It additionally ensures the alignment of ECR strategic projects with the needs stated in the strategic vision. It equally monitors the implementation of strategic projects in terms of costs, deadlines, and quality. Another task, it can support the various project managers of strategic projects in the definition of key indicators to measure the performance of projects. Also, the PMO can provide the management control with a follow-up for the budgetary elements relating to strategic projects. Finally, the PMO department ensures the establishment of a project management culture and the respect of best practices dedicated to this purpose as part of the monitoring of the progress of strategic projects. Here we can see in detail the different interactions that the PMO has with other structures, especially at the early stages of the launch of the transformation plan Strong 2. Strategic PMO initiates a strategic framework, identifies the transitions, axes, and projects. This step is carried out in coordination with the general manager, who validates the orientations of the transformation plan Strong 2. Following this, the strategic PMO coordinates with the project managers in terms of shaping well the project preliminary framing. After that, the strategic PMO builds up all the portfolio constituted from all the projects, all the strategic projects. This step is characterized by providing assistance to main project managers. The strategic PMO makes sure that it is in compliance with the IT master plan in terms of considering new IT requirements for Strong 2 projects. It makes sure also that it is in compliance with the target planning of reviewing the procedures manuals. This leads us to a key step, which is prioritization and arbitration. This step is done in coordination with the general manager, who prioritizes the project's portfolio. And it's worth mentioning here that the PMO had implemented a tool for planning and monitoring that helped the project managers in detailing framing of all the projects. At the end of this step, we have the final list of deliverables and estimated delivery dates with the RACI matrix. After this step comes the reference document. This document is designed and implemented with technical and financial indicators that are provided by the management control in the form of a spreadsheet. The PMO had also implemented a flash reporting framework that helped the project managers to report on a monthly basis the progress of their projects. This enabled the PMO to monitor well the project management portfolio, and also give assistance for project managers in terms of change management. The PMO provides monthly reports and reporting that include periodic measurements to the management control and also to the MD, and this prepared the transformation plan committee. And it's worth mentioning here that the PMO animate this committee and present the progress of projects and all the recovery points and the blocking points to the general manager. The general manager arbitrates on those blocking points and give a way to solve all the problems that may the project manager face during the projects. Now let's move to the PMO objectives. First, I'd like to share with you some of the main priorities stated by the PMO for the strategic transformation plan Strong 2. Here are 3 ambitions. The first one, strengthening of SCR positioning on the Moroccan market. The second one is managing well international expansion, especially in Africa and the Middle East region. The third one is to continue playing a key role in the management of the catastrophic risks with limited exposure for the Moroccan market. Here are the 4 pillars of the strategic transformation plan were stated as follows. The first one, future growth and visibility. Second one, technical expertise and risk management. The third one, operational excellence and customer satisfaction. And the last one, corporate culture and improvement of management methods. Each pillar embed approximately about 7 or 8 projects. Let's take a look at the practical side of PMO implementation and main missions. As shown here, the PMO intervention diagram. The PMO role is mainly monitoring the progress of the strategic projects by fostering soft communication between all project stakeholders, ensuring transparency by being a single central source of information, being a unique interface to identify risks, and animating committees and proactively intervene on key topics. By the way, here are the 3 principal committees that were implemented on the Strategic Transformation Plan Strong 2. It is essential to establish committees, and as you know, PMO plays an important role in this matter. There were 3 committees. The first one was about project committee. Let's start with the project committee. It's a simple committee that aims to ensure transparency on progress, risks for all the stakeholders of the project, consistency of the options offered, validation of proposed actions, and preparation of arbitration if necessary. It's a committee that takes place every 2 weeks. The main stakeholders are project managers, project team, and others if needed. The second committee is about sponsor committee. The main role is about assuring global management of all the projects of the sponsor, taking decisions and arbitrations, and preparing the strategic committee. It's also a committee that takes place every 2 weeks. The main stakeholders are the sponsors, project managers, the PMO, others if needed. The third committee, which is the strategic committee, the main role is about prioritization and arbitration if necessary, about decisions of the sponsors and project committees. The decisions on the allocations of resources and risks, etc. The frequency is about every 2 months, and the main stakeholders is GU, sponsors, and PMO. To sum up this part, PMO has a 3-fold objectives. First one is about ensuring a top management support in terms of preparing committees and different arbitrations for the aforesaid committees. Follow-up of the entire project portfolio and also ensuring a risk escalation to the top management. The second fold is about the operational support by accompanying project managers in implementing best practices of projects management, providing them with tools, specific guidelines of project per type, track milestones and deliverables, and also giving a hand on preparing committees. The third and last fold is about the operational management change by providing support to project managers in daily tasks, setting up actions defined in the planning, and support them on production of key deliverables. Let's develop now the 5th part of the presentation dedicated to the PMO results. I will describe briefly the main results that were implemented by the PMO. The main one was the implementation of a methodology, a sort of guideline of project management specific for ECR, and split it per a type of project. The aim of this methodology is to come up with a standard of project management practices for organizational projects and IT projects. The second important measure was the creation of different templates in order to facilitate communication and project reporting. I will show you some figures later. The third implementation was about the creation of tools to enhance charge estimation, mastering deadlines, cost management, and the resource allocation, and also scheduling project steps monitoring. Here are some screenshots that show a front page of the methodology of project management. As you can see in the index, the guideline was split into 4 chapters. The first chapter is split into 2 sections. The first one about objectives and motivations of this guideline of project management. The second one is about the scope of the methodological guideline. Here the scope, it was the IT and organizational projects. The second chapter shed light on the principles of SCR project management method in terms of definitions, stating the methodological framework, classification of projects and identifications procedures, the splitting of standards and projects, and also the implementations of roles and responsibilities for each stakeholder in the project. The third chapter is about the life cycle of each project. So here the chapter is split into 5 main sections. The first section concerns steps which are made prior to the project. It embeds the opportunity and the practicality. The second section is about the project validation, and the third section concerns the main steps that have to be met in realizing the project. And here there is a split between the IT projects and the organizational projects. The fourth sections concern the conduct and monitoring the projects. And the last one, it shed light in the project reportings in terms of frequency, the stakeholders, or the main protagonists of the reporting. The second figure shows a spreadsheet tool that the project managers use in order to help them for resource allocations in terms of charges. Every project manager can fill the profile of each resources and calculate the charge estimated and charge consumed. The third figure shows a preliminary framing project sheet in which we can see the headings relating to the project team of the projects. So for all the project managers, he can fill the initial situation before the project starting, a sort of brief description of the situation before the project. He also can fill the objectives and the prerequisites and some of the key performance indicators. He can also provide the starting date and the estimated date with mainly the steps that have to be implemented during the projects, and for every step the key deliverables. The reporting flash has 2 parts. One is dedicated to the key achievements, in which the project manager states the accomplished steps with the date of completion. The second part is dedicated to the next steps, in which each project manager states the forthcoming steps and also the expected date of accomplishment. There is also a space in which the project manager can write and evocate all the points of attentions and risks. In this slide, figures show results of the study summary sheet that the project manager tried to do before launching the project. This have to be done prior to the project, especially in studying the opportunity and the practicality of launching the project. So here the project manager can see if the project has a strategic impact or not, if it has also a strong return on investment or not, if the project is recommended by a regulatory framework. You can also feel the project priority, if the priority is high or low regarding the type and the circumstances behind launching the project. The availability of all the key stakeholders for validating the milestones of the project. As you can see also, there is a figure that shows the likelihood and the impact per risk. And at the end, and upon this overall evaluation, the tool delivers a score upon which decision of launching or not the project can be taken. This tool allows to estimate charges for an IT project according to the load of realization and implementation. This production load can be dimensioned by a project manager or an integrator according to an expression of the macro requirement described during the framing stage. Once this load is filled, the tool gives a distribution of charges by stakeholder and by project step. It's worth mentioning that the PMO had organized a training session for the project managers in order to implement best practices of project management within structures and federate all stakeholders in strategic projects to share the same values of key success of projects. Now let's conclude with PMO Next Steps. The PMO department has a promising future for the key role it plays in the success of project management within ECR. I would be pleased to share some key midterm targets. The first one is deploying a new 3-year transformation plan without support by external firm. The second one is about positioning the PMO department more as a hub of strategic orientations for all entities. The third one is about continuing to raise awareness of the importance of the PMO department for all ECR structures. The fourth one is strengthening the project culture within ECR and continuing the standardizations of the project management processes. The last one is about establishing annual training plan related to best practices in project management. In light of what we have seen, I would like to light up the fact that our activity, which is reinsurance, is particular and make as well our PMO so particular. We have made huge steps forward by implementing it as an independent entity, promoting best practices in project management. Today, the department enjoys a good strategic position in ECR. We provide strategic studies and play an important role on developing projects to meet not only our needs, but those of our partners as well. Currently, the department is managing key projects, which is implementing service level agreements for front to back office and communicate on this externally. I hope this has been informative and useful for everyone, and I would like to thank you for listening.